0603264.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. This is DJ Temi. Welcome to the first episode of Females in the Mix podcast. We have a special guest today, Catherine Sunday. Hi. Could you introduce yourself slightly? I mean, we know you're a singer, songwriter, R&B pop, and if you could
Um,
introduce yourself.
yeah, so I'm Catherine and I think you just said actually, I do R&B pop and I write my own songs and that's it.
When did
That's
you start
me.
making music? Like, how did your career started?
Um, so I started, I think, when I was really young. I used to write really bad songs about my cat, I think. And then when I was 18, I went to uni and I studied songwriting at BIM in Brighton. Um, and yeah, I've been doing it since then.
Wow, all right. Think actually, to start this off, I wanted to give a little fact of history about females because obviously this podcast is going to be all about females in music, females in entertainment business. So, one of the facts that I will be sharing today is that women on stages, a bit of history of that. Stages started really in Greece. I mean, for early, for like 4th, 5th century, and it was always like a guys' club. So only men were available to perform on stages in Greece, and opera singers as well. So women were like deemed inappropriate to perform on stage, and even like female characters were performed by men, and also to get the pitch from women singing voice, there was a thing called castrati, which is a type of classical male singing voice where singer would have to be uh, there would be like performed a castration on singer before they reach puberty, so they could reach that pitch of a woman opera singer. Yeah, so that really shows the levels of history of how women on stages were perceived. That they would do anything to like keep women off stages, keeping women off singing, and even to this day, like there's like a high underrepresentation in females in theaters and stuff. Did you like have you ever heard anything like that, or any history of like women
Um,
singing?
I actually didn't know about the singing, but I knew with acting because I studied history of theater and stuff, and I knew that women were not allowed to play women
Mm-hmm.
on stage, so they had like little boys play women. I did not know, but obviously it makes sense that would be the same thing with singers, and that's just mad, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's funny. I mean, actually, I'm
Ah,
trying to like research and yeah, and give a little fact every episode because I think like that kind of shows the importance why we should still talk about this today. And yeah, to just start
yeah.
off, how what was your experience being a woman, a female in the music industry? Did you have like do you remember any
Hmm.
first time you noticed any sort of disparity because of your gender? Do you remember any experience?
Where do I get started?
Wow.
Where do we start? I think as a girl, as a woman, when you do music, any kind of music, whether you play an instrument, whether you sing, whether you write songs, whether you're a DJ, whether you're an engineer, whether you're a producer. I don't want to be mean to men, but men are just, it's just this mindset that doesn't matter if a girl's pretty or if a girl's not pretty, but it's just like, oh, she's a girl. Hmm. You know, it's like when someone hears your, I don't know about you, but like when someone hears my songs for the first time and because they think like I'm a blonde girl and I'm pale and I'm like giggly and I wear pink, everyone's like, "Oh, your song's good." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
As
"Oh,
if it's
your
not
your
supposed to
singing's
be.
good." I'm like, "Yeah." Yeah, exactly. Because they're expecting like some girl who's like, oh yeah, I can sing, I write songs, and then doesn't know how to do shit. Oh, can I say shit here?
No. It's
Sorry.
fine.
Doesn't know how to do anything. Um, yeah, so it's just ridiculous. And then people, I've always been, I'm quite of a, um, I know how I want my things to sound, and I don't like to waste time. So I'm very specific about my songs and how I record them and who I work with. And then people are like, "Oh, you're men, especially." I've always been in bands with men. I was lucky in my last band to have. I was in a band with my best friend, so obviously it's different. But before that, I was in a band with like 4 or 5 guys, and they would get their egos would get so like, am I bothered? Because I was a girl and I was telling them like that your guitar part's not really working, you need to sort it out, like,
Mm-hmm.
or that's not going to be good enough for stage, and they'll just be like, ah, because it's a girl. Because if it was another guy, they'll probably take it as like constructive criticism, but because it's a girl, it's like, mm, oh, she's. I was going to say something can't say on the radio again, but she's bossy. Let's say that. It's just
I
when
know, yeah. The B word,
you always see
the
those
popular one.
things, exactly, the B word, and it's just like, if it's a girl, I know this is kind of turned into a joke right now because you see this in lots of places, and it's like, if it's a man, they call him like a boss and assertive and professional, and if it's a woman, it's like she's and she's
Mm-hmm.
all these things. It's like it's exactly the same thing, but you're just not used to it from a woman because women are still perceived as these like porcelain dolls who are just made to look pretty and not to actually be able to do anything. We're just made to look like as itsy. Ugh, I
Mm-hmm.
could go on and on forever.
I know, yeah, you mentioned that like you feel the resistance if you're kind of leading a man, or if you're telling them something, they're not really taking it seriously as if they did if there was a manager that's a male that would tell them the same. Um,
Yeah,
and sorry, were you saying
yeah, I was agreeing with you.
something? Yeah, and would you think, like, would you say that the music industry is male dominated? I mean, I wrote my dissertation about DJing industry where I proved very likely, I mean, that DJs are very much male dominated industry. My one of my main
Yeah,
examples using it was that if you ask any person in the street what is their top 5 DJs, everyone mentions, vast
yeah,
majority will mention 5 male DJs, and that alone shows that, I
yeah.
mean, and obviously there's a vast history in it,
Oh,
but do you,
definitely.
like, in your career as a musician, have you worked more with males or more with women? And if so, like, whichever it is, why do you think it is?
99% is going to be men.
Even in pop
99%.
and like
And
R&B, which is more like commercial, also in
e-
that industry. Mhm.
every everywhere. And with DJs, the same thing, because obviously we don't follow the same kind of DJs, but within this genre that of DJing that I prefer,
Mhm.
there's like 2 or 3 female DJs like that you can actually look up to and be like, oh, she's doing it. Because yeah, I don't know if you would follow it, but there's like this poll that's called Top 100 DJs
Mhm.
view of from DJ Mag.
Mhm.
If you go on that and you look at the polls, like in 100, the top 100 DJs in the world, there's like 2 women, three. You count Peggy Goo, and yeah, there's like 3, 4 maximum, and that's like be nice in 100. It's just ridiculous. And the
Yeah,
same
just to
with
tick a box, a lot of
um
festivals would hire a female DJ.
uh yeah, and with producing and stuff, like with everything, and with girls, it's just like with pop music as well and R&B, I've always worked with men, always, which I don't mind because I'm very outspoken and I wouldn't let anyone um try to pull one on me.
Mhm.
So that's fine, but it's never with girls. I'm not saying there's no other girls in the industry. Obviously, there's lots of girls in the industry, but I would say 90% of the people I worked with, 99 maybe is 90 to 99 is male.
Hmm. Why do you
Yeah,
think
it's
that is? As I mean, do you have any insights why, like, why are women not interested in I mean, making music, especially women been a big part of performing arts for years as well. So probably even more than male as in participation wise. Let's see, dance classes or I mean, castings, auditions. There's vast majority of women wanting to be in art are women, but then in the industry, especially high positions, we see vast majority are male. Do you have any thoughts on that? Why is it?
okay. See, that's a very good question. That is a very good question. I don't want to say the wrong thing because anything I would say as to why, it would be just speculation. It
Mhm.
wouldn't be like a formed opinion on it. I don't have a formed opinion on why that happens. Like off the top of my head, I could think that it's just a systematic thing that for many, many years, always it's been like men owning record labels. So men employ men, as much
Mhm.
as we don't want to say that that's true. And then obviously, I don't know that many women who are managing artists, managing other, like, I'm not saying there's not many. I don't know. Again, that's the thing. I don't know the statistics on that. I'm just saying from like managers that I know, from artists that I like and that I know, it's just always men. So then the teams kind of grow that way because one is employed by the other. And as much as there's a lot of women making music, I think also you need to have a really thick skin to want to do it as it is in general. For to be a musician, to be an artist, there's so many things you need to go through
Mhm.
that are difficult. And I think on top of that, then if you're a girl and you're not taken seriously enough and you need to try harder than everyone else to be taken seriously, then that kind of puts you down and it just makes you want to give up and think maybe I should just do something else where I don't have to work so hard on top of having to work so hard to do music, working so
Mhm.
hard to be taken seriously and to like, why am I putting up with this crap?
Mhm.
So I think it's just obviously there's women out there, but it's just like um we need we are still at that stage that we need other women to open a path for us. We're
Mhm.
still at very early stages. Not there hasn't been a lot of powerful women in the music industry, but there's still a long, long way to go. No.
Mhm. Yeah, and when you were growing up, I mean, talking about, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago, what would be your perception in your environment? What would be perception or people around your female musicians? Have you noticed that in your close circle, some sort of stereotypes, or what you mentioned at the beginning that you have to be all giggly and nice and not be, I mean, not taken seriously? But is there any other perception
Um,
that?
do you mean like the singers that I used to like that were girls? Is that what you
Uh,
mean?
yeah, yeah. In general, about like mm, women making music. Yeah, maybe like growing up. What was your like
Um,
perception? What is your family's perception?
so I grew up listening to pop rock music.
Mhm.
So I never liked girls that it's funny that now I wear pink and I'm blonde and I'm like, "Hee." But do not be fooled. I used to be in a rock band. I was in a rock band for like 5 years of my life. I don't know if you knew this. I used to be in a rock band. So all the women that I grew up listening to, the kind of why I started doing music, were all very the anti showing your body and anti men. So I was like, I grew up listening to like Avril Lavigne and Alanis Morissette and um, whatever her name was from Evanescence. Maybe you don't know who they were, but they were very much like all dressed in black and rocker chicks and screw men and so much better without you. So I didn't have the perception that I think that kind of shaped the kind of artist and person that I am today because I wasn't really into pop music growing up. Um, and then other than those women, I listened to a lot of male singers when I started getting into R&B. I was like listening to Usher. So there was no women getting involved in the equation. So all the women that I had were very good examples to begin with. And then I started listening when like my opinion on that was formed. It wasn't so much that I had an idea or a preconceived notion of what women were treated like. It's just I gained that after seeing how I was treated. When I went to uni, when I went to uni and then yeah, when I went to uni, then I started feeling in my own bones and my own skin how women are treated differently than men. And not just by, bear in mind, I'm saying a lot, I don't want to come off as thinking, oh, I hate all men are crap, and all men treat women terribly. It's not like that at all. I love men. Men are lovely. It's just that it's this system that's um, bending in the way that men have more advantages than women. Okay, so men are kind of educated towards seeing women in music a certain way. The same way men were educated 50 years ago to think that women should stay at home with their children. Luckily, that's changed a lot over the years, but it hasn't reached at the same speed, hasn't reached the music industry. Okay, so I'm not saying men are crap, it's just how things are dealt to them that maybe they're not used to seeing women so much. And then when it's like there's a girl, it's like, oh my God. But now, being devil's advocate is not just men that treat women differently. There's a lot of women in the music industry that feel like um, they're not so like now I have a good circle of friends like you, for example, and other girls that I know who make music, and we're very supportive of each other. But I remember when I went to uni, my teachers, I had a couple of female teachers, and they were like, they were quite, I'm not going to say who, but they were quite big in the UK at the time, or they had like number one records and stuff. And they were so, oh my gosh, they were not ready to teach, they were not ready for for more women, because I think that's the other side of the coin. I think because they were so used to, maybe they had to work so hard to get where they were, you know. Maybe they felt like the girls that were coming after them were undeserving of what they already done, or maybe they thought they're going to get it so much easier than us, because I got treated pretty badly by my female teachers, never by my male teachers at uni.
Oh, wow.
So that's also interesting.
Yeah, could you give any examples? Like you said, the females were treated differently. Like, is there any example you could think of?
Yeah, I can think of a few. So there was this one teacher. She was super skinny. She was an amazing singer. Um, she did like all these. Oh my God, what's it called now? Anyway, it's when you're like a hired singer to sing in like commercials and stuff. But then she also had like quite a few hits singing for like in bands and stuff. So she was really skinny. She was like skinnier than me. And then she would like, I would come in like eating a chocolate, and she'd be like, "Why are you eating a chocolate? In 5 years, that's all going to go to your hips. No one's gonna hire you, blah, blah, blah." And I'll be like, why are
Wow.
you saying that to an 18-year-old? That's just like, that's not healthy. I don't wanna, you wouldn't say that to a man, you know? Um, and then there was this other woman. she was even bigger. She had like this, when I would remember when I was at uni, her song with this band was always on the radio. So she was quite like big. But she was, I don't know what it was. She was like this bigger woman. I don't know. I don't think she ever got a lot of success on her own. So she had to sing for like feature in like other people's songs. And then this one time we always had to audition for the end of term gig. So you had to audition. Everyone at uni auditioned, but only 20 or 30 bands made it. I don't remember how many. So I had this audition. It went really well. And then in front of everyone, it was like, imagine there's like 10 people choosing, right? So it's not just three. There's like 10 teachers and like other people choosing. And then in front of like everyone, my boyfriend at the time and like all these people, and she was like, well, yeah, you got in. You got on the end of term gig, but I just want to say you really need to work on your voice because when I look at you, you're very pretty. And I feel like you're definitely going to make it in the music industry just because you're pretty. But after like 10 years, you're going to get fat and ugly. And then what are you going to do?
Wow. And that was coming from the
Yeah.
female mouth, from a
Yes,
fellow female. Wow.
exactly.
Okay. That is actually one of
Exactly.
interesting. I mean, that's an interesting topic to also talk about if females are supporting each other enough. Because, yeah, that's. I mean, obviously, men supporting men, but then, I mean, that's how it's supposed to be, I guess. So then women should be supporting women, and then if women are not supporting women and men are not supporting women,
Yeah.
then how does
Yeah.
that work? And
I
obviously,
I don't. Sorry. Yeah. Continue.
no, no, I just wanted to also mention the fact that you said before that it's harder for women to almost get on to start now, even today, probably. I mean, I wanted to ask you as a question, but I think you kind of did mention that because they had to work so hard, almost harder than men, if not twice as hard. And
Yeah.
yeah, then females are not supporting females enough. What about now, like in your environment? Do you see the same problem? Do you see women like competing with each other rather than lifting each other up?
Um, that's the thing. I don't think it goes on as much anymore. But then it might be the change of environment. It's different when you're at uni, and this was like I was at uni 10 years ago. So it's different when you're at uni and like you're kind of all competing. Like I was saying, if there was like same situation, if the whole university is competing for like 30 spots to get on this end of term gig, then obviously the girls are competing for the same spots because you're going to have less girls on it than men for sure. Um, so then girls get are competing against each other. Then these teachers, I feel like even though they had quite a bit of success, the fact that you're ending up at university teaching, maybe if you're a touring musician, if you're doing really well, you wouldn't have to be teaching, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like maybe they were a bit sour about
Mm-hmm.
seeing like girls that had a long time ahead of them, and they probably thought, oh, like my golden years are gone, and here are these. Wow, I was going to say the word again. I realize I say this word a lot, but here are these little young things. Um, and yeah, they maybe they felt a little bit sour, maybe a little bit attacked, maybe just couldn't deal with it. But forward all these years now, like I said, I don't work with that many women, but like the girls that I know, um, I'm trying to think if I've asked a girl for help or if I asked a girl to like, um, I don't think I have, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, like I said, usually when I have like a problem with um yeah, a problem with some music thing, it's just easier to ask a guy because I know more guys that do it than women,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But the women that I do know that make music, we're kind of very supportive of each other. because I do know a lot of other girl singers, and we support each other's music, and it's not bitchy whatsoever. So I think it's different. Thank God.
Indeed. And I wanted to ask, how did you feel when you heard that when you were 18 years old and people like critiquing on your let's say appearance instead of your music quite like multiple times? Like, did you ever? I mean, you did say you wonder like you almost wanted to give up at certain times, but how did it make you feel? Did it ever put you off for like certain time? Like, were you actually seriously considering to quitting? And how did it affect you hearing all these remarks?
Um, nah, it just made me grow a thicker skin.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, "Mm, F you."
That's great. Do you
Literally,
know any
people.
one of your friends that like quit music, let's say, for these um
Oh yeah, quite a few. I know quite a few girls that did music and then they were just like, No." But you also need to be like, you have to have a thicker skin than most people to be able to be in music. And then you also need to love it like 160%, because I don't know about you, but like 90% of the time, like I could just be doing something way easier, you know,
mhm
with my time than to be having to put up with this crap with, again, not from men per se. There's not a specific men. It's just little comments and seeing being treated differently because you're a girl, or men. Oh, bless, men trying to like mansplain things. Like I've had a few times that I was like songwriting with these people that I didn't know before, and it was guys, and then this guy's just like, this. So for like 2 days, I had to write with the same group of guys,
mhm
and then it was my song, and I was just like, okay, this is what I want it to sound like, and then he's just like, yeah, but I think it would be better this way, and I'm like, yeah, but it's like my song, and I think it would sound better this way, and he's like, yeah, but what if we talk about this and that and that, and I'm like, okay, you're just not going to listen, so we'll just waste these 2 days. I'm not going to use this song because you didn't listen to me, and I don't care. So that's fine. You know, sometimes, um, yeah, sometimes guys see that you're a girl, and it's just like, oh, but we can do it my way because I know better. No, you don't. Actually, don't.
mhm Did you ever
So,
have someone like, I mean, is that most times that if you say no to someone, do they normally respect it, or how many times you had like not to use a song or certain just because someone didn't take your word seriously or
a few times, and more times that I would want to say. It wasn't a one-off. It's happened a few times. It's happened a few times that I'm riding with someone, and then, oh, this one time as well. This was funny. Funny now looking back, but I met with this producer guy, and the only reason why I met up with him in the studio was because I heard like some um, tracks that he'd done for someone else. He had done like for this rapper, right? And I wanted something like that because like I had been working on some stuff that was like a little bit different than my usual stuff. So then I meet up with this guy. We spend like a good 4 hours of him showing me these. Um, I don't know if you're familiar with like, like the chain smokers. It's like this. What's it called? Electro? No, it's something. Uh, bass something. It's like this electronic music. You know that song? So baby, pull me closer
mhm
in the backseat. Yeah, so that song.
mhm
Nothing against that song, okay? I don't want to do that music.
mhm
It sounds like some bubble gum, like so sweet and like no,
mhm
no. So this guy, he spent a good 4 hours showing me stuff like that. Like, yeah, so I have this idea for you. And I'm like, no. oh, I had this idea for you. And I'm like, no, for 4 hours. And he'd be like, what about this? I'm like, no, that's not what you showed me. And then we literally had the studio book for 8 hours. After four, I was like, you know what? I feel a bit ill in general. So the only reason why I came here was because I was like thinking this was going to be productive, but this is not being productive. I have to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, oh, yeah, yeah, before you go, let me just show you this that I was thinking it would be really good for a rapper. So he shows me like this track that was sick. He's like, yeah, I started this yesterday. What do you think? And I'm like, so you were going to show this to me when? And he's like, oh, no, not for you, for a rapper. And I'm like, oh, why are you showing this to me now? And he's like, oh, because we ended your session. So before you go, you guys could get your opinion on this one. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, just because you thought I looked a certain way, so I should sound a certain way.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever considered of like changing your music, adapting to like certain image that people are trying to tell you? Let's say that that would work, like certain, I don't know, girly, cheesy, sort of like, or I mean, you said you know exactly like. So how long did it take you to develop that style that you have and that you're not willing to compromise at all, or have you ever kind of tried to go more in a, I don't know, cheesy girly way and whatever we might call it?
Yeah, no, 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 no. I want to do my music. And if I'm not happy with my music, then I'm not happy putting it out. There's no point in me doing it just to please other people. And there's already like a lot of people like again, nothing wrong with um bubbly pop music. I listen to a lot of that stuff. Doesn't necessarily mean I want to do it. I also do pop music, but there's very different types of music inside pop music, and I definitely don't want to do anything that I don't like. I'm like I said, I'm very particular about how I sound. So if you hear something that I put out, you know that that was all me, down to the sound of the snares, to like how my vocals were mixed, everything. If it's out there and I put it out, like it's 100% come from me, to the way it's been produced, everything. If I don't like something, I'm not going to put it out. So yeah, no, I'm not going to change anything. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, go listen to something else or go work with someone else. you know
That's a good attitude. I mean, I feel like some musicians might not be able to afford it to miss some opportunities, you know, and I mean there's movies and TV series about artists changing their whole life for certain image. Females
I mean, I
especially.
feel you, but
Females
I'm no
especially.
Adele or anything yet, I'm on my way there, but um I think you're right. Probably if I had done, if I had made other choices to be a bit more like this or a bit more like that, um, because maybe sometimes the way I look doesn't really fit my personality, or I say too much. I don't really hold my tongue, so maybe that's cost me a few
Mhm.
good opportunities here and there. But I don't really care because at the end of the day, I need to be happy with who I am. If I'm going to sell my soul
Mhm.
to be something else. It's just, yeah, that would not make me happy. I don't want to end up,
Mhm.
um,
I don't know if you've seen on Black Mirror. There's one episode talking about an artist how they're decided to change her image and like I mean it's a bit of a dark one, feeding her medicine and all that. But I mean we can see real life instances like Britney Spears and Miley Cyrus and you know other artists like that
mm,
that experienced it.
no, I didn't see that because I saw a few episodes of Black Mirror like a few years ago, and it was so scary that I was like, no.
Mhm. Right. So coming back to your career, if you could think of a like one most significant barrier, what would you say? Not, I mean, not necessarily gender related, unless it is, but what in general in your music career, what would be like the most significant barrier for you?
Mm, that's a good question. I think the most difficult barrier. Um, it's not just enough to, I don't think it's ever been good enough to have just a good song, like good tracks. I think our day and age, it's not about good tracks, it's how they're marketed.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have a crappy track and you can have a crappy track and it'll do really well um, because I love Drake. Okay, don't get me wrong, I love Drake. But Drake could literally release something saying Mambo Jumbo, Mambo Jumbo, Mambo Jumbo 3 times, and people would be in the club like Mambo Jumbo, Mambo Jumbo, you know? Like no one cares because it's Drake.
Yeah.
Um, Same with a lot of people. Like there's so many people that if it was someone else singing that, you'd be like, what is this? It's very not very difficult. There's lots of good songs out there, but I think like the value quality of the songs are declining. Um, and it's all about marketing, like how artists are marketed. And that costs a lot of money. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's not even about having a label anymore because sometimes you sign with a label and then your music will never see the light of the day because they have you and then they have someone else they put some money into and then that person starts to take off and then they don't care about you anymore because um that person is going somewhere. I think yes, it's very important for us to have good music, but it's also most important these days is social media and marketing and putting yourself out there. And for me, I personally kind of hate social media,
Mm-hmm.
which is sad because I used to love it. I used to absolutely love it. And then a few years ago, kind of just felt like it was eating up my soul. I don't know why, but I just felt like there's something else, so much more that I could be doing
Mm-hmm.
um, with myself that would be more productive. But at the end of the day, you do need to spend those hours on social media. And I know I need to do it. I haven't done it in a very long time. But that's
Mm-hmm.
like one thing I have to remember myself every day, like you need to do it. But that kind of makes me like depressed because it's really not about the music anymore. Um, it's not about the music anymore. It's just about also not with men. It's just like it's about what you look like and what it's out there about you and um yeah, how your the in the value of your image more than um your music. Music is literally at this point, you know what? Like before, you would have visuals to come with the music. Um, you would have the videos like a little bit after the songs were released, so you would have like some image to music. And now it's just like the music is just there to be like some music to the image, you know?
Mm-hmm. Very
If you
interesting.
eat someone's image up, then you'll get their music, but it's more about their personality. And we've kind of, don't want to sound depressing here, but it's just like we've kind of all been turned into robots and like who can be on the most like as many social media platforms as possible. You have to be on Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat and all these things. And it's just like, we all have to be on our phones all the time. So when does that leave time to just like be yourself and work on your music and not be influenced by outside
Mm-hmm.
crap?
I love how I asked you, I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago, how do you make someone famous? And you said with a lot of money. So that's kind of sums it
Yeah,
up. Um, yeah.
yeah, it's true.
So just a quick,
Um,
yeah, sorry.
yeah, yeah. No, but it's true. Like if you have
Mm-hmm.
a lot of money, say let's say you have 30, 40K, you could literally pay radios to blast your song and have a really nice video, nice photo shoot,
Mm-hmm.
PR campaign. Okay, maybe a bit more, like 50K. You'll be famous tomorrow.
For each song.
So, um, it's sad, but it's true.
Mm-hmm. So could you tell me why do you make music? I know it's a hard one, but yeah, do you have like your
It's
why,
not a
your main reason, motivation?
that's like not a hard question whatsoever. That's like the easiest one. I make music because I've always I don't know, I think this is like the answer of a lot of people, but I growing up, that was my one thing that made me happy. I was always doing it much more than I do now, if you can believe it. But I would be at school and I'll be writing lyrics, and since I can remember, it just makes me happy. And then all the times that I was saying that I think, oh, I could just be doing something else, like I'm smart. I don't need to be stuck in this. Um, that is so tough that girls are not taken seriously most of the time. I should be doing something else. And then I'm like, I don't think I would be happy doing anything else. As
Mm-hmm.
sad as that is, I just don't think I
Mm-hmm.
would be very happy because my life just revolves around music. Even when I'm not making music, I'm listening to music. If I'm not listening to music, I'm watching someone play music or write music or talk about music,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Um, so yeah, that's why.
So getting to a bit of a personal question, possibly. Obviously, I don't know if you're comfortable to answer, but
Sure.
have you ever felt scared, like while working in the music? Like, were you ever where you ever experience a fear while working with like male? Because I mean, we know there's quite a like not enough, but a couple of documentaries, a couple articles that people are trying to talk about women experiences working in male-dominated yeah recording studios or performances or anything. Have you like could you share anything if you felt like unsafe working in music industry as a female?
Mm, nope. Nope.
That's great.
Never had any problems with anyone. I've had quite a few men hitting on me a lot of times. Men much older than me as well, hitting on me. Um, like
Have you ever like
saying, "Oh, we
lost
should
a
go for
job because
dinner,"
you
or
declined or
"Oh yeah, yeah, many times." There was this,
as if it's
there
like
was this,
daily thing?
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
many times. Like so, yeah, it happened a lot of times because it's there's a saying that says it's not um about what you do is what you know, or who you know, what I don't know,
Yeah, networking.
something like that. Yeah,
Mm.
the foreign in me just came out. So um, many times I've been in places and I've met someone and someone tells me, "Oh, I want to introduce you to this person. This is so and so and so." Many times, okay? And then once I meet this person, it's usually a guy that's in very like a very important guy, right?
Mhm.
Um, so this has happened quite a few times, and if I told you some of, I don't think I can say them here because it's like I could tell you specifically who these people
Oh,
were,
I don't
and they were
mind.
like, "What?"
Up to you.
Yes, but um, so I'm not gonna. Basically, let me see if there's one that I can just like to explain
Yeah, I mean,
the kind of stuff that
obviously,
happens.
um,
But
yeah, unless it matters to the
yeah,
context, but.
yeah. So basically, I feel like I've met quite a few important men through friends, usually male friends, but like really close friends that are musicians, or I went to see them play, and then their managers or their record label executives were there, and these men are like, sorry to say, but these men are vile. They're
Mhm.
like terrible. Um, this one guy, my friend was like, "Oh, this is my friend. She does music. You need to listen to her music, blah blah blah." And this guy's like, "Yeah, I'll listen to your music tomorrow morning, after we celebrate my number one, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Oh, disgusting. Like you're lucky if I don't throw this drink in your face." And I'm just like, "Yeah, no, thank you, but bye." Like these guys, they literally don't care. If you, I don't know, I would say if maybe you sleep with them or they might listen to your stuff, but no, think you don't want to try. Nope.
What do you
Yeah,
normally
this has
do?
happened many times.
What do you normally do? Do you have like a line to decline? I mean, it's good that you never felt like you're unsafe in the situation, which I'm very very happy to hear as a friend as well. But what do you normally say to these some sort of flirting, hitting, all of those things?
I just say no, thank you. Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
And that helps.
To
That's
to
that that
that guy,
that
yeah,
helps.
because I think that does help because I don't think like a lot of these men are very used to women saying no to them. And then when that happens, they're like, oh shit, and it hurts their ego. Um, I don't know if the situation would be different if I was there alone. If
Mhm.
they would get a bit more aggressive, but because usually I'm always with other guys that they know,
Mhm.
they can't really be like, ah, you're no, just like, oh shit.
Mhm. No worries. Well, we're running. I mean, we have like a last five, let's say 8 minutes till ads left. Just to another question, is there like would you do anything differently if nobody judged you, if your appearance didn't have any saying in it? Like would there be another way you went about your career if
Um, that's a good question. That's a very good question. I can't say I would be lying if I said I don't take other people into consideration or I don't take or I think that's a very big problem. I don't know, I can't speak for other people either, but for me, I think when I was younger, it was much easier to write songs because I always wrote what I needed to write, not I didn't have that bias of, oh, I need to write this because I think people will like this, or there was never I didn't take other people into consideration. And then I got to a certain age, and I'm like, I was just obsessed with having really good songs that other people would like. So I think that's a problem, but that's just like um, subconscious. That just happens. And obviously, there's with being an artist and with being a person, you're never the same. If you stay the same person for too long, something's wrong with you because you're not evolving, you're not trying to better yourself. I think we're always changing. Um, so when you're an artist, sometimes you don't want to be stuck to one thing because you're a musician. You like, I don't know if I was having this conversation with you, but um, it's very frustrating for me. I had a big argument with um, can't say who, but I had a big argument with someone over my career because this person was telling me like, oh, you can't be DJing or you can't be producing music because that's taking away your time and that's confusing to people because you're a singer-songwriter. And I'm like, man, like in 100 years ago, 200 years ago, science were poets and they wrote plays and they were like mathematicians, like if you see Einstein and all these people, they're not just one thing, they're all these things. And you're just like, oh, so it's okay for like these people to be five different things, but I have to stuck to one thing. But I'm a musician, I don't want to be stuck doing one thing. But then if you're going through these things and maybe you're like want to release something like that, or maybe you want to DJ and you don't want to be that one night, you don't want to DJ the stuff that you usually DJ, people, you're going to be like, this is how I feel right now, but people are going to think like, oh, she's going through a mental breakdown or something because yesterday she was doing this and now she's doing that. So you always have lots of people don't always take that into consideration, but I think I take that into consideration. Like, I know that the next song I release is going to be very, 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 very different from the last song I released. And it has lots of curse words because I curse a lot. Um, and I just thought I'm always mindful when I record a song to not have curse words. Like I have like one in my last song, but that already like took out radio play from that
Mhm.
song because they're like, oh, there's that word in it. So
Mhm.
now the next song that I'm gonna release is literally has a curse word in every sentence. So I'm like, okay, I can kiss goodbye to radio play, but at least I'm going to release something that I really like and
Mhm.
how I feel right now. So I think I'm starting to think less and less about what other people think, but I think lockdown helped with that. But yeah, um, sorry,
Mhm.
these answers are so long.
No, that's been very, very interesting. So maybe one of the last questions, what do you think would be, I mean, do you have any ideas what should we do to improve the situation? I know, I guess that's like the open question that
To improve the situation, I think I have a few ideas.
mhm.
Girls need to be more supportive of girls. Um, I think also men are more open to helping out. I've had a lot of guys helping me out when I don't know something, and like lately I've been learning a lot of things like, like DJing and producing. And when I have a problem, sometimes I don't want to like ask someone. I'm like, I'm not gonna ask. I can find this out on my own. And then I message like one of my friends and they're like, oh yeah, just do this. I'm like, no, why didn't I ask an hour ago? So I think men are very open to helping out because that just happens to them a lot. Women are more like, oh no, I had to learn this on my own. No one taught me, and it was very difficult for me to learn. So now I'm not just gonna help some. So
Mhm.
ways women are very different in that sense. I think that can be helped, can be changed to be better. And then with men, I think men should just be more mindful, but that's like has to change one one by one. Just be more mindful. It's like, okay, it's a girl, but this girl probably spent as many hours as I did learning production, or spend as many hours practicing DJing, or spend as many hours writing songs to be here where I am. It's not just because she's pretty or she's a girl that she's going to know less than I do. So just be a bit more mindful. Maybe take like girls under guys should take more girls under their wing, guys that know better. They're mentors for other guys.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's just being a little bit more mindful. I think we all kind of need to do have a little wakey wakey in the years to come, not just with women in music industry, but like racism, war going on in like all these countries. That would be a whole
Mhm.
conversation for another time. But it's just like I feel like we all need to stop not I also think there's lots of people getting too stressed out over little things these days,
Mhm.
while there's like wars and things going on and people getting stressed out. Oh, no, this woman like was carrying her child and then she dropped the bag of, you know, silly things like that. And it's just like, okay, calm down. No child's gonna die from being dropped on the floor just for 2 seconds. So things like that. But we also need to just be a little bit more open-minded, just a bit more mindful. And if you don't know if you're doing something right or wrong, just ask. There's nothing wrong with asking. People will be thankful if you ask, rather than you just, oh, I don't know, so I'm just gonna ignore it, or I'm gonna pretend like it doesn't happen, or just ask. So I can ask, what's your experience like being a girl in music? And um, we can ask like, how do you see women? Or we can say to other women like, hello, I'm gonna be like, you help me, I help you. This is how it works. Like, it doesn't have to be, we don't have to be pitted against each other.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. That was very insightful. So tell us, where can we listen to you? Shout out yourself.
Oh,
Shout out
yes.
anyone you want. I really appreciate you
Yes,
being here.
please.
It's been a crazy hour, which actually went super fast. So,
Yeah, that went super fast. Like my voice is just completely gone, but I'm glad it could still serve me. Where can you listen to me? You can listen to me on Spotify and SoundCloud and YouTube. Find me on Instagram. Yeah, that's it.
Catherine
Under
dot
Catherine
Sunday.
Sunday.
Right.
Yeah, everything's on Catherine Sunday. Catherine Sunday, Catherine with a C. Sunday like the day of the week.
Thank you so much, girl. I'll call you in a minute. So
Okay,
thank you
boo
so
boo.
much.
Bye.
Bye.